Welcome, everyone. I am Turner, and this is the Lost in Stupidity podcast. Just a little intro of what we do. We're going to go on adventures. We're going to cover different subjects. We're going to tell stories. We're going to go into topics. And if you don't hear something initially that interests you, give us a few opportunities. Listen to a few shows, because we really are going to cover a wide variety of subjects. I mean, the guys here, myself, I'm a big outdoorsman. I'm the host of the Indian Hen Outdoors YouTube channel. But we're not just going to do hunting stuff. We're not going to do just car stuff and sports stuff. There really is going to be something for everybody. So to get this off the ground, like I said, I am Turner Dahlbear. I'm joined by the boss, the one Chris Bozeman.
All right, guys. How are y'all?
And the one Hillbilly Howard.
Howdy.
So let's get this off the ground. I guess to start with, let's recap the Montana trip. I got back from a hunting trip in the great state of Montana about 3 weeks ago now. And again, we're not just going to talk about hunting stuff. Chris, I know you went to Montana how long ago now?
Yeah, it's been about a year. We went for a mission trip. Yeah, it was a great experience.
Cool. So, yeah, it was so worth it. Like anybody that's thinking about, going out west and doing the whole, I see this on TV, people hiking out there, going on these big hunts out there. It's worth the price of admission. It lives up to the hype.
It is so much better in person. It's just all-inspiring to see what the world is like out there. Really, it's amazing.
Yeah, what got me is being from, we're located in the state of Mississippi. We're in the deep south. And what got me is how bad my depth perception was off. Like, you could look into the distance and see some mountains, and you're like, okay, that's half an hour away. And in actuality, it's like 120 miles away. And so when we were on this bear hunt, we one evening, not to get ahead of myself, but we actually saw one just through a regular pair of 9x42 binoculars, something you could pick up at your local Walmart. And we could see that bear from a mile off.
That's crazy.
It's just so clear and so vast out there.
Even the actual forestry is clearer. I mean, like, you can see for miles in the forestry. Like, here in Mississippi, we have so much underbrush, you can't even really see.
Yeah, and that's a good point, too, because it's so dry. Even though there's snow, and it's so dry and arid out there. I guess that was redundant. But it's hard for me to tell. We camped on the edge of an old clear cut and some logging, and I really couldn't tell how old it was. It could have been 5-6 years old because it's so dry out there, this timber, it just doesn't rot. It's so clear under there. It doesn't, here in Mississippi, our humidity's so high and it rains so much. If you have dead wood on the ground, it'll vanish in 6 months.
Absolutely.
But well, Wilbur, I know you wanted to be a aspiring out west hunter. What you got any questions for me, or what you thinking?
About the only thing that comes to my mind is, I'm sure y'all remember that scene in Jeremiah Johnson.
Of course.
I told my parents that I was going to be a mountain man. They acted like I was gut. We'll start that one over.
Yeah, you want to? It's okay.
I told my parents I was going to be a mountain man, and they acted like they were gut shot. I said, Mama, the Rocky Mountains are the bone marrow of the world.
But I kept thinking of that quote. I think you text me that, the bone marrow of the earth. And I again, just so beautiful. I can't put it into words. But
it really is.
First time flying.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was, again, I don't want to get too preachy right off the bat, but again, this trip for me, just a reminder of God's provision. And
it absolutely is,
even in the little things.
Yeah, it's even a miracle that your plane lands. I mean, God's involved in that, right?
Yeah, right. But I had, I'll be 34 this year. Never been on an airplane. Never been in an airport.
Let alone navigate one by yourself.
Exactly. So my wife, her parents were missionaries, so they were coaching me up. They've spent a lot of time on planes. But still, I went to fly out of Baton Rouge, scared to death.
Did you watch any YouTube tutorials on how to navigate an airport?
On the firearm stuff, yes. Some of it was actually helpful.
Yeah.
Now,
absolutely.
Everybody wants to tell you about the time that somebody crashed,
Yeah, we
which
only
you
hear
don't
about the bad things.
Right. But
Women pilots.
all right, and send that email to willhoward@lostandstupidity.com. But all jokes aside, got on the plane and a older lady sits down beside me, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" Niceties, and I said, "Do you fly much?" And she kind of looks at me. You could say that. And she could tell I was nervous. And she looks and she's, well, what about you? I said, first time today. And she was like, really? And about that time, she pulled her badge out and showed me. She said, well, I work for American Airlines. I've been working for them for 40 years. And so I'll talk you through it. And Miss Margie, shout out to her. She was the nicest human being, and she talked me through it, and again, helped me with my nerves. And again, she was just a godsend, and absolutely. I know that because we got through it, landed, and I'm like, wow, that wasn't bad at all. We get off the plane. She's like, Dallas Airport is massive. Let me show you where to go. Let me get you to your gate. And ma'am, you really don't have to do that, but she done that. She showed me where to go, and we had talked on the plane, and I had mentioned about my in-laws being missionaries, and we got done. We're saying our goodbyes, and she looked at me. She said, "Well, tell your in-laws thank you for spreading the gospel. I'm a Christian too, and I've prayed over you and the rest of your journey, and I hope it goes well. I know it'll go well because I've asked Jesus to bless you." Amen.
That is such reassurance right there.
Is.
Just a stranger on an airplane.
And some people want to chalk that up as a happenstance, but that's not.
That's not the way God works. Like all things work to His glory, and completely on purpose. And that's an amazing thing, Turner. I love that.
And again, Miss Margie, you are the woman. That again, cannot sing her praises enough, and can't sing God's praises enough.
That's right. Amen.
But it was relatively smooth. I didn't have the airport horror stories that everybody has. Did have one of my flights where we'll call him Chuck. I sat by Chuck.
All right, Chuck.
I feel like Chuck may have just got out of a correctional facility. Oh. He had everything in the world in like a mesh bag, and wearing a gray jumpsuit, and he had a little bump to him. I wish Chuck would have found a shower before he got on the plane, but I don't know. He may have had a bad day. But that was kind of the extent of my airport horrors,
Did Chuck strike up any conversation with you?
No, he shut that down real quick.
Chuck said, "I don't want to talk to you. I don't like you."
Pretty much. And now, didn't mind getting over on my side of the plane now.
Sure thing.
That little armrest, that was non-existent, sir.
He took that for himself. Huh?
Yes, he did. And part of my side. And I ain't a little fella either.
No.
Like, I need my 6 inches of seat.
I was about to say, it's a big old boy.
That's a lot. 6 inches, that's a ton.
Easy. But, anyway, so, landed, got all that squared away, and we did some hiking in. We did a lot of truck hunting, and to clarify what that means, because it means something.
Not hanging out the window with a Q-beam, right?
Right. That means something. If you're from the South, that means something totally different.
Right.
We would get on these old logging roads and mountain roads and just drive and get to a spot where you could glass with a spot and scope or binoculars and just overlook that hillside for hours and hours and hours. And then if you saw, a bear, then you would have to, try to hike to it. Then you would be tasked, so even...
Gotcha, because you're seeing so far.
Yes.
Like you can see so much.
Right. Yeah. And that's a lot of the hunting out there, that's how you do it, whether it's elk or whatever, mule deer. It's a lot of sitting and a lot of glassing, and then the hiking part of it comes when you actually see an animal. And then you've got to make a decision of, okay, how much daylight do I have left? Mm-hmm. If that animal's a mile and a half away, am I going to hike over there in shooting distance, and then it's going to be pitch black, and I've got to get this animal out of here?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all sorts of stuff. Not just skill, but simply luck goes into it. It's like, yeah,
a little bit.
You might spot them from the road, and by the time you step it out, mile and a half out, that bear could be on the other side of a ravine. But you've cut it down to 400 yards. I got an hour and a half of daylight left. Like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. And to that point, Sam was kind of guiding me, and we'll have him on the show later. We've got a plethora of hunting stories and misadventures that we need to talk about. But he had taken a bear the week before, and he was on one of these logging roads, and he, again, like you said, a certain amount of luck, 150 yards from the road. And, got off the road, took that bear, hiked it back to the truck. That was the end of it. Because that does play a role in it of imagine you've hiked in 4, 5, 6, 7 miles, and then you see this animal, like, okay, cool. I've got to quarter this thing out and pack up all that meat and pack up this hide and get it back out before it spoils.
Golly.
So, a lot of fun. Again, definitely something new. I will say for someone wanting to try this, doing it that way, it was, again, everything costs money, but it was affordable. You can budget toward it.
Sure.
If you're like us, you're a younger dad, you got a couple of young kids, and that's just getting to where you can start hunting again. When they're real little, it's hard to get away from the house.
Sure.
You got to stay with them and stay with mama. I was ticket, tag, and my gear. I was probably in this trip $1,000.
That's really not bad considering what you got out of the whole deal.
Exactly. And that was 3 days. I flew into Billings, Montana on a Wednesday night, and I flew back home Sunday afternoon. And that's you're not away from home too long. A lot of the gear that you can do for that kind of hunting kind of can pull double duty.
Sure.
For stuff you're already doing. And that would be my advice is don't immediately go buy $1,000 worth of gear to hike 7 miles in. Because more than likely, like I said, if you're hunting a little more from the truck, your first time in, you're probably going to be hunting a little more of what we would refer to as the front country. You're in rural areas, but you're near logging roads. You're near dirt roads. You're not just taking a big block of wilderness that has nothing in it and hiking in 10 miles.
Sure, you're on ground that's been trotted before.
Exactly.
That's huge difference there.
Big difference.
Huge. 10 miles over untamed terrain, brutal. 10 miles down a gravel road, walk in the park.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to paint the wrong idea. It was still some of the hardest hunting I've ever done. But also, it's doable for a beginner. And I would advise, unless you have a sure enough guide or somebody that lives out there that knows the area, I wouldn't trek off and do, I wouldn't bite off more than I can chew.
Sure.
Especially, and that goes for really any trip. But as far as I know it was a mission trip, but y'all went to Yellowstone, didn't you?
Yeah, we went to Yellowstone.
So how was all that, and what did it live up to the hype?
It does. It really does live up to the hype, and I feel like when you see it in person, because you see so many pictures of things from Yellowstone, just different things that are out there, and you honestly, you can't see everything in one day. Like Yellowstone is massive.
Right.
It's huge. You can't even see everything that you probably want to see. But it absolutely, to me, it lives up to hype. I mean, it was a good time. We actually the big geyser that they do there. I don't remember what it's called.
Old Faithful.
Old Faithful.
I knew the Boy Scout. There he is.
Yep. He got it. So we actually made it in time to be able to see that. That's amazing stuff. It's really amazing how all that stuff, like, it's amazing how our world, our Earth, literally holds together with all the volcanic activity and things that you find, like in Yellowstone, because you're literally on top of a actual volcano. when
Right,
you're in
right.
Yellowstone. Yeah, it's just crazy to think about. But it was a blast, man. And just going to see waterfalls, things we don't have in Mississippi.
Right,
Like we don't
right.
have those kind of things. And when you go and you see that, you just it's really awesome. But it's a good time. It's something I think if you ever get the chance to do, and it's worth doing. We drove there. We actually drove to Montana for our mission trip. Yeah, you're talking like 27 hours in a van.
Yeah, unless you're doing something like either a mission trip, obviously, or maybe a 2-3 week vacation, do not recommend driving out there.
Do not recommend driving. It doesn't matter who you go with. You will find things you don't like about them on a trip like that. It does not matter who you go with.
20 hours in the cab of a truck with someone, that brings out the worst in you.
It does. It does. And you're talking crossing major, like tons of states headed out west. And, they're all so much different than where we live here. And it can be definitely a tasking thing to get out and drive that distance. We had enough people, luckily, to swap out.
Right.
So nobody really had to drive more than, say, 3.5 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So it made it a whole lot better. So when
Rookie
you weren't
numbers.
driving, rookie numbers, yeah, you're right. So when you weren't driving, you were sleeping.
Yeah, right, right.
But yeah, it was a good time, absolutely, and looking forward to it. I'd love to go back.
Well, it's the hot topic, and probably what people tuned in for. Did you see any bears while you were there?
We in Yellowstone, yes, we saw a couple of grizzlies, a couple of brown
Really?
bears. I don't know what you would call that, but yeah, just kind of from a distance. And it's amazing how people will just get out of their vehicles and set up a tripod camera. It takes 15 minutes to set up, not even looking at the bear, and just to catch the perfect picture.
No sense of
Because
self-preservation.
I don't know how fast those things run, but I'm pretty sure that they can get between me and you. And
I was going to say four.
I know one way to find out.
Yeah. What? I'm trying to remember. Isn't it like 45 miles an hour in a sprint?
35 or
35?
up. It might be up into the 40s in a sprint, but might be in the 30s maintained.
Way faster than this one right here can run. I can
That's
tell you
exactly
that.
right. And I'm not going to sit out there and play in my trunk and all kind of junk whenever there's a grizzly bear or what. Like
I might have it beat by a couple of steps for at least a couple 100 yards.
I hear
Yeah,
you will.
okay.
I hear you will.
Yeah, that was the concern, and it's the hot topic right now. The part of Montana we were in previously had really not had any grizzly activity, and the Department of Wildlife actually put out a statement. It was a couple of news packages I saw on the internet warning people that, hey, they are expanding their range and they are being seen in this area. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, we've had in that kind of, I guess you'd say, southwestern portion of Montana, let's just say within hour and a half, 2 hours of Billings, that kind of area. I know we're up to 5 grizzly attacks on the year, I believe, already, just for this year.
Man.
Yeah, it's people need to be mindful. They are definitely expanding their range, and again, we didn't lay eyes on one.
Sure.
It's kind of a rare thing in the wild.
Sure.
But it can happen, and it is something you need to be wary of.
I feel like when you say grizzly attack, we're not talking about people who survived. I mean, like...
Actually, I think all 5 have survived, because I know 2 that come to mind, 2 or 3 that come to mind, that they were like shed hunters or fly fishermen. They were outdoorsmen, and they were carrying handguns and spray and whatever, and they actually ended up killing the grizzly bear.
A little bit of preparation goes a long way. Huh?
There you go. But you're awful quiet over there, Wilbur.
I'm just taking it all in. Just a watcher.
But next year, one Mr. Friend of the show, friend of ours, one Mr. Josh Butler, I'm gonna take him up on his offer to come out there. He don't know what he's biting. He don't know what he's getting into. But maybe
that's right.
I've got the bug now. I'm ready to go after some elk.
I don't know if I call him a friend. I ain't too sure about him. I'm just picking. Josh
I'm sure he really appreciates that.
Oh no, he knew exactly what he was doing when he said that right there.
He'll be happy to know that he made the first episode of our podcast.
Of course.
Congratulations.
But yeah, that's again, relatively smooth sailing. Didn't get a bear. We bumped one about 30 to 40 yards. We were sidewalking this hill, and it was just really thick. And it was one of them, in hindsight, could I have just thrown my rifle up and not said anything and potentially took a shot at him? Yes. Would I have blown Sam's eardrums out right beside me? Yes.
That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
I was about to say, but would you have shot a bear?
Possibly. But also, it's not the first time a camera has cost me something, but I really wanted to document the whole thing.
Some of the footage that you've been putting out, and everything of that trip has just been really awesome. I mean, that's good stuff.
Thank you. I worked hard on that one.
Oh, yeah, the film you dropped on YouTube, even like I told you the other day, I thoroughly enjoyed just your little range video, the backdrop, the scenery.
Montana makes it easy to shoot good B-roll. I'll tell you that.
It does.
But yeah, on that note, shameless plug. If you are more interested in the outdoor stuff, be sure and check us out on YouTube. That's Indian Hen Outdoors. We cover all things outdoors. I did a full video documenting the trip we're talking about now. So yeah, some of my best work, I think. That may not be saying much, but
I think your work's good, Turner.
But what was you gonna say, Will?
I was just saying, according to the poll that you conducted.
Exactly. The poll that I conducted out here by my mailbox, which was 2 passersby and a butterfly, they said we were the number 1 podcast in Mississippi already. So of the independent poll that I conducted by my mailbox.
Sure. Got 3 big fans. We're doing great.
Yeah, but that about wraps it up, I guess. If y'all are interested and want to know a little bit more about the trip, look at the video I did on Indian Hen Outdoors. I'm going to be dropping a gear list to just show you what I used. Again, this is for a shorter 3-day trip, entry level, which I'm a beginner. This was my first time hunting out with. But be looking for that on YouTube if you like. Be sure to like us. Leave us a kind review, please. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say at all. And what about that about wraps up our first ever episode. What do you think, guys?
I think it worked.
I think it was great, guys. And we look forward to seeing y'all next time.
Join us again next time on the Lost in Stupidity podcast.